Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the most must-see podcast here in the NJSSL. Welcome to the one, the only, the Cutting Redge. We are joined live by the most dynamic father-son duo in the history of NJSSL. You have the original, the OG, the man that he can be a coach, he can be a player, he can be anything that you need him to be. The most utility man and the most loved lover of Eagles and Phillies sports. Please welcome the one and only Shoja Ahsan. Salam Shoja bhai, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum, Reg. Thank you once again. It's a pleasure to be on with you.
It's always a pleasure to have you. You know, you've been a long-standing member of NJSSL Sports, almost since its inception. Each year it seems like you bring more and more to the teams that you're a part of. This year you're a part of you're not part of Timeless Creations. You are.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. You're part of the 2-0 Timeless Creations team, and inshallah looking to be the number one team in NJSSL football this year, as represented by the owner and sponsor of that team itself. But we have looking to stop you from being in that number one position. Please welcome my other guest at this time. He is the man, the him, the most top player almost every season in NJSSL football, basketball, whatever sport it is. He is a man that knows nothing but victories and glory. He is the one, the only Farhan Ahsan. Farhan, how are you, my friend?
Doing good, Reg. Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Of course.
Excited this year. Happy to be back in football. We all love the show. We all get excited every week to see what takes you have for us. So, this is I'm happy to be back on the show again. So
I was gonna say, it occurred to me somewhere along the way as I was doing the show is that you didn't play football last season due to injury, correct?
Yeah, no, I had surgery scheduled, so last season I was out. I was missing. I was at all the games, but I just couldn't play. So it was a little disappointing to not be able to play. I think the football season's really special. It's a lot of fun. Everyone's involved, so it's a little different from the other seasons. So missing it is tough, especially when there was a long layoff. But definitely happy to be back.
100%. Very understandable, and I'm glad that the surgeries and everything went well so that you are able to play this season. Alhamdulillah, you are on the other 2-0 team here in NJSL. You're on Team Motherland, which is very much looking, no offense to Timeless Creations, but very much looking like the current top runner, team here in NJSL. So far there's been basically zero notable glitches or weaknesses to your team's game. Farhan, just in general, how do you feel like your team is doing this season, and how do you feel like your team is coming along after 2 solid weeks?
I think we have a really strong team. I think our guys kind of dropped due to random issues, maybe availability or other guys were targeting different players. So I think our team is just really solid from our first pick all the way down to our last pick. We have some sleepers who can come in if our starters are out, they put in the same effort and can give us some results. So I think I'm really happy with the way our team's set up because we have a really good O-line, some solid skill position players, and high IQ players who know how to play. They may not be, it's different than having a Shahrukh who's just a freak, and you have a beast, him, Hussein, who the team is going through them. But when you have a bunch of guys who can play with high IQ rather than just physical talent as well, it's a little bit of a different kind of challenge, but I feel like our team is really solid this season.
Yes, 100%. So far, I think one of the most impressive aspects to Motherland that I've noticed over the past 2 weeks is the insane defensive line and insane flag pulling that I've seen from your team. I think this past week, if I'm not mistaken, I counted a total of 7 sacks. Is that sounded right? I believe I saw 3 between Nabil and maybe I think it was 3 from Nabil, 2 from Fizan, and then 2 from Iman Sheikh. So definitely a very strong, well put together defensive line. They're also playing better than I think that some guys expected, or most guys expected, as an offensive line too. What thoughts or words or feelings do you have about the line specifically that your team has put together?
Yeah, no, I think with Nabil drafted, we were talking about guys that we wanted. So Nabil, wanted a bunch of guys that, he could trust and he could just rush with. And I think that's what he has. We even have some guys on the bench that are good, but that top 3, they're in sync right now. They know what they're doing. So, I feel like other QBs have been really struggling, which is helping our secondary just kind of sit back in coverage, play receivers, not too aggressively, but we can still jump on balls. So I think that D line has just been putting so much pressure on QBs. You saw it last week on Taha, like everyone was just kind of
Mhm.
getting into the backfield. He was scrambling, but it was still really tough for him to get throws off. So I'm really happy with the way our D line is looking right now.
100%, 100%. And Shoja bhai, one of the few things that Farhan mentioned as their team was, as he was talking about the way that Nabil drafted the team, is he very specifically mentioned, Shahrukh specifically, and so one of the things I think, if I'm not mistaken, is this past week Shahrukh was played. But I believe this is the only week that Shahrukh is going to be playing this season. Is that correct, or is that changed at all?
No, Sharks here for I think 2 more weeks, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe next week or so. So
Okay.
we'll take it. We'll take it by the year. We still have solid players. Week one, we didn't have Shahrukh, Shan, and Rehan, three of our top guys. And I know we played a team which didn't have Hussein and Irtiza, but we were losing our top guys too, and we shut them out. So
100%.
you got to play with what you have because you are going to face teams which are going to be missing guys. We might be missing guys, so that it is what it is.
And anything can happen at any on any given day in the NJSL, as you guys both are aware, and as those that are watching are aware. Well, with all this being said, let's talk about this past week. There's a lot of interesting games, a couple of close matchups, a couple of not so close matchups. I guess first matchup that we should talk about, I guess, doesn't really involve either of you guys. It was Team SNS versus MyFin Journey. I have lots of thoughts on this game. Farhan, did you get a chance to watch this?
Yeah, no, I got to the game kind of, right maybe like after the first drive, and then I think on YouTube I was able to watch like the first half of the game, so I kind of have a decent idea of how this game went. So
What were your what I want to know specifically from you is what are your thoughts on SNS as a team and in general? What are your thoughts on their quarterback?
so far it's hard to truly judge them if they haven't had the number one pick Hussein.
100%.
He this season he's playing receiver, and so that's a complete game changer, especially because this QB Shiraz has been looking like he can move a little bit in the pocket, throw the ball, and at the end of the day, you have arguably the best receiver in the league, kind of a guy who's been shown to be unguardable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good combination, and they have a lot of secondary pieces like Irtaza, Zohaib, Zain Mumtaz. So these guys are all high IQ, can play as in a secondary role to Hussein. So I think when we see them at full strength, they might be a very difficult team, especially because I also didn't realize this. Having a coach is very important, and I think they kind of have
100%.
that in Asad Merchant. Asad Bai is just like he's watched football, he kind of knows what he's doing, so he kind of gets the guys organized a little bit, tells them what to do. I saw it last year on the Cowboys, so I think
Yeah.
once that team is fully together, they'll be pretty solid.
Yeah, no, 100%. Best teams definitely do seem to have coaches. And I think you're right. I think the biggest thing that I noticed is that two key additions for this week for SNS was Irtizam Mumtaz, who made some big plays, and Asad Bukhari, who also made some big plays. And I don't think either of those guys were there week one. So definitely played a big role in their defeat over Myfin Journey. Should have.
Yeah, Ahsan had a couple of big plays, which was huge, in the game.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Shiraz this managed the game great. He made some really good plays getting out of the pocket.
Mhm.
And he's only going to get better once he plays a couple more games with his team.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. It definitely seems like each week he's going to get better and better. And I think, like you said, Hussein's not even played yet, and he's their top player. This team defeated my Fin Journey 3-0. So their offense really hasn't found their groove fully. But I think when Hussein comes back, it's going to be a very different story. Now, Shujab, the question I have for you is my Fin Journey. They're struggling. They're out here. They look like they're not going to win a game all season. Let alone they don't look like they're not going to score a point all season. So what do they need to do? They lost to this team that didn't even have their first round pick. And I don't know if my Journey was missing a lot of key guys, but it didn't look like it. What do they have to do to kind of turn the season around?
Well, I heard them bickering a lot. In the huddle, some of the guys saying that let one guy talk because there were four or five guys talking at the same time. So they have a lot of talent. They just need to figure it out.
It sounds like chemistry is not there right now.
Yeah, yeah, and they just need to come together, figure it out, and you know, the good thing is, there's still a few games left, and they just need to, figure it out. Their captain needs to take charge and get the troops to rally around the team.
100%. I mean, I think a couple of names that I want to drop is, guys that played really well in this game. Speaking of their, excellent talent, was Jack Derthaza, did an excellent job on the defensive line, and Professor also had some really good catches. I want to say, like, it almost seems like they might need to, revolve their offensive threats around Professor because he seems to be doing the most offensively. Farhan, what was your thoughts on my Journey in this game and then in general?
I thought their QB Fardeen, he had moments.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he drove them into the I think like the 10-yard line twice, and I
Mm-hmm.
think they just weren't able to score. That first possession, there was an interception, right? That first red zone possession,
Yeah.
and then yeah, the second one I think obviously ended in the the Asad Bukhari pick. So
Yeah.
they're getting there. I think they just need to. I think another issue that I was noticing with their offense, it was just a little disorganized sometimes. Maybe I noticed it in our week 1 where you have to have plays ready to go. You can't be
Yep.
taking your time, moving a little slow. So I think there was a couple times where maybe the line wasn't fully set, wasn't ready. So they if the QB has guys just rushing straight at him, it's really tough to make a play. And I think what happened a lot of the times was Bardine felt like he had to make a play, and it was a little tough. Um, they were missing Yafa too, so it is tough to say because he's obviously one of the best receivers in the league.
For sure.
But they still had enough guys and opportunity to win that game. So Waleed's definitely got a. I think Waleed's expected. He's the MVP, so he's got to be showing MVP level production. Carrying his team. So I think he can respond. He's won championships in the past. So let's see if this feeds their team or
Able to do it. Yeah, I think Bully definitely successful if he has a good, surrounding, high IQ coaching, atmosphere around him. Don't know if he has that on this team, but we'll see. We'll see what My Journey has and what they're capable of doing. I guess we'll move on to the second game. That is Timeless Creations versus Advanced Dental. Shoja, actually, I'll let you start off. How do you feel like this game went for you guys?
We didn't play as good as we expected to play, especially on offense. A few times we were a little out of sync,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, I think the team is still learning how to play together,
Mm-hmm.
and the positive thing is that in both our first game and our second game, we started out with picks, and our defense was able to hold the other side from not scoring. So, uh, you know, our opponent played well, but they just, our defense put a little too much pressure on them. Especially, the key was that we were able to put some pressure using just two rushers and not having to blitz or use the third rusher, which gave us a lot of leeway. Having an extra linebacker who could just spy on the QB from stopping him from running.
For sure, for sure. I mean, I think one of the interesting things about this game in particular was that, compared to last week, Advanced Dental was doing a lot of run plays last week, a lot of set, like designed plays. And I think one of the issues they had this week is that Adil, who is their starting quarterback, was not there. And so On Merchant, I think, had to, take his spot. And I just don't know if On had that same sort of time and ability to like practice those set plays. And a lot of times they just didn't run as much. And I think that, made a huge difference as to why their offense really couldn't, do much in this game. Granted, last game I think their offense primarily just had like one or two big plays, but yeah. So I think Advanced Central needs to kind of figure out an offensive plan against these stronger teams like Timeless Creations or Motherland.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
our strategy going in was to put pressure on to throw the ball.
Mhm.
That's why we played our linebackers up tight, close to the line of scrimmage to, prevent them from running the ball too much, and trying to throw it. But they stuck to running. Although I think we did have a couple of picks, but my squad, if you look overall, has a bunch of guys who are smaller guys, but they're quick guys. So we can adjust to the runs as well as deep patterns. So
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Actually, speaking of small and quick guys, I think one of the big names that shot up this week was ZJ made a lot of great plays with Rayon and Ledina, as a receiver. So between him and Sharuk, he had an excellent receiving core. Farhan, what was your thoughts kind of as you watched this game unfold? Like, how did you feel? Timeless Creations did as well as both Advanced Dental.
Yeah, no, I think Timeless Creations definitely has shown, they're one of the better teams this season so far. ZJ is obviously, a veteran QB in the NJSSL, so he's seen, everyone's seen what he can do. He's, I think he throws the ball the craziest, but also, can also throw picks, but will also, have the craziest plays at times. So he's, just a complete, X factor and wild card, and obviously when Shahruk's there, it's a crazy combination. We'll see when Shahruk, shows up. But the other guys, Rayana Ladina, he was a second round or third round pick last year. So, they are, high expectations from, good. He is a very solid player. Players know that, he can make things happen. So I think he's, just got to stay confident, keep making plays. Sean's obviously, won a championship before. He's a, solid receiver, defensive player. And Rehan's super speedy. You have Bobby, who's I think kind of shutting up a lot of people who have said Bobby might be washed or is just a cameraman these days, because he's been making plays, scoring touchdowns, scoring 2-point conversions. So definitely a sleeper to watch this year.
100%, 100%. Fair enough. All right. Well, I think definitely the biggest, impressive things that I saw was just the connection that ZJ had to both Shark and Rayon. Definitely looking forward to seeing more of that. And we'll see when Shark, if for the games that he's missing, we'll see if a new, like you said, some of these other guys emerge and take over. And I have no doubt that under the leadership of one Shoja, that we're going to see a lot of guys from this team emerge into glory.
yeah, we had Sean also. Don't forget, who had a couple of
Who had
big
the
plays.
touchdown, right? He had a
Yeah,
touchdown.
yeah.
Yeah. He had a nice, excellent pass from ZJ to Sean. So that was really well done. I think that, like you said, all these guys are going to have probably big numbers this year. Under the again tutelage of Shoja.
Advanced Dental, they had some moments. I think when Mehdi got that pick and then got tackled by ZJ, it was kind of like a little bit of a, because you never know if Mehdi kind of makes a move there and doesn't get taken out on the sideline. He's one of the most explosive guys in the league. But I think they'll figure it out. Ado's nursing back his injury. So we're preparing for Ado, but also if On has to be QB again. So focusing on stopping Mehdi, Nathani, and some of their other guys who've been solid.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say, I mean, we haven't gotten to the predictions yet for next week, but I think you're playing Advanced Dental next week, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. So lots of things to happen. I guess let's just talk about on our last game, and then we'll kind of go into next week's predictions. So last game was Motherland versus Ash Research Clinic. This was a close battling game. At one point, it was 7-7, but the final score is 14-7, going to the Motherland. The biggest thing I saw that I want to definitely mention for the Motherland is that connection between Ahsan and Shah. Farhan Ahsan to Ali Shah. It's a wild combo, but it's one that's very hard to stop. Farhan, how do you feel like your general receiving core is? Like, what do you like being the quarterback of this team with the receiving core you have?
Listen, Ali Shah's flying over from Seattle, so I got to get him his targets. I got to make that flight worth it. No,
There you
but
go.
honestly, these plays, I have a lot of receivers who have been, really solid. I think, even though Heather hasn't had crazy production so far, he's, still had a really big role in our offense.
Mm-hmm.
Mustafa has, I think, been a huge sleeper this year because I think people kind of, he was a little forgotten on the Cowboys. And this year he's just been, one of our best, defensive players, and then offensively he's been, huge, very quick, very, fast. So he's been our short yardage guy, and then, Adi's a little injured right now, so I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. But he'll figure it out, and then try to get Arham Tarab mixed up in there. So
Yeah.
this week, we'll see if we can expand some of the production to the other guys.
Yeah, 100%. I want to say Mustafa Hassan had the touchdown, the second touchdown in the game, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and I'm forgetting about Mosid. Mosid's been, kind of like a Travis Kelsey of our offense. He's just been, my go-to guy. If I'm not throwing the shot, it's been mostly Mosid. So, Mo's
Yeah,
been, huge.
definitely a lot of excellent passes to Mosid, down the middle, and just like in that, he does a great job, probably one of the best jobs in the NJSL playing that tight end sort of position. Shoja, what were your thoughts on watching both of these teams play?
I think Ash Research played a very good game. They kept it tight, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just a couple of big plays, where Shaw catches it, and I'm not sure who it was. I think maybe it might have been Misam or someone who was right behind him but couldn't get his flag, and Shaw takes it in for a touchdown. Same thing goes for Mustafa. Mustafa catches a short pass and makes a nice cut, makes a couple of guys miss, and gets in for the touchdown. And Ash kept it close. It's unfortunate that they're missing a couple of their speedsters. Ali Bungash, I don't know, why he signed up and is not showing up. We're lucky to have that we took Mohsen and not Ali, because Mohsen showed up for the past couple games, but Ali's not showing up. So I don't know. And Ash has a uh, big squad rather than a fast. By big, I mean big guys. You have Taha, you have Yasser, Zunair. A lot of big guys, but they needed that speedster in Ali Bungash who could have at least stretched the defense a little bit. But Tahi I saw was hustling. Like crazy, putting a lot of pressure on Farhan. Couple of times missing getting a sack, but they once they have their full squad, they'll be pretty formidable. But it's a matter of just having everyone there.
Yeah, I think that's really been one of their the big stories for Ash Research is that especially like I don't think Zach has showed up either of the weeks either. Maybe he was there and I didn't see him, but I don't think he's been there. Ali Bungash, another guy that's been missing. So I think those are two key guys on the defensive line for sure, and then the offensive line also with Zach that could be make huge differences in the game. Definitely a big shout out goes to Misam Zedi because Misam he's not anybody who I would have suspected to be the top guy on this team, but both weeks he's been the most useful guy on this team, is what it looks like. He did have a defensive touchdown, a pick six. I'm assuming that pick six was off of you, Farhan. And so, that's it's a rare to get a pick six in this league. And on top of it, to get a pick six on Farhan Ahsan is even more rare. So, big shout out to Misam Zedi for keeping his team alive. I want to say that, the Ash Research Clinic line, who is there, the offensive line, you guys, I feel like the first week you did good, but this past week, it was just constant breakdown, right? I think I mentioned it earlier. I think we saw 7 or 8 sacks from Motherland onto the Ash Research Clinic quarterback Taha, and I don't know if it's necessarily that they were so good they were, but like your offensive line, Ash Research Clinic offensive line, stop play offensive line, like block the guys that you need to block. Stop getting ran around. I don't know, Farhan. What are your thoughts on that offensive line that they had? Like how your team was able to get through with ease on most plays.
Yeah, no, we were putting pressure. We were blitzing kind of three the whole game. So those guys, they're just, Iman's also been really good this year. He's been kind of like a rookie of the year candidate. I think offensive, he's been on the offensive line, so he hasn't been like statistically noticed as much, but he's been really solid. And then defensively, he's shown up. I think, honestly, Ash is pretty solid. I think obviously missing Ali Bungash and a couple guys is tough, but Misum, kudos to Misum. That was a crazy pick. I was trying to like lead Shah upfield, and I kind of just went beyond, and Misum made a tough catch over the shoulder, and then they had a ton of guys coming to block, and he made a good play. So then after that, we kind of had to just adjust, lock in, and go down the field again. But I think they're a team once they have their guys again. Obviously availability. Everyone keeps on saying when they have their guys, but if they do have their full team, I think they'll definitely be dangerous.
Yeah, and one of the things I felt that they should have exploited a little more was, Zunair's side. They saw Farhan playing Zunair one-on-one and stayed away from there. They must have gone to him maybe once or twice, and that was it. So, and I told Zunair this after the game. I would have baited, Farhan by pumping to Zunair because Farhan was, playing him pretty tight, looking to get that pick, and then sending someone behind that, and dropping it deep. But that's the stuff, someone from the sideline has to, watch and then relay it to the QB or, someone calling plays, which, because it's tough to see it when you're, playing the game.
Yeah. No, it sounds like, what you just pointed out there. It sounds like if Ash Research Clinic has a coach, then they might have a little bit better opportunity to, to have some success. It really does seem like, with Motherland, actually, Farhan, who would you say is Motherland's coach, amongst your team?
I would say it's kind of split up. Nabil kind of rallies the troops, and then you have I kind of handle like the offensive side. Ali Shah kind of handles like the defensive side, and then Heather's kind of like the middleman between everything. He kind of handles offense, defense, and just kind of puts in his input. So it's kind of like a little team that we have that kind of decide how we're gonna run things.
Got it. Yeah. So yeah. So pretty well put together. Definitely got Shoja on timeless, and then I guess I don't know. Both of those teams are solid. So listen, this is the question I have for you, Shoja. Why is when it comes time for Timeless to play Motherland, why is Timeless going to beat Motherland?
Because we match up very well with them. And I'll be honest. You look at the talent that's on the field when Timeless plays Motherland, and Motherland's going to be missing one of their key players, Farhan, and they're going to be missing me, but I'll be able to draw out the plays and give to my team for that day. So we'll have an advantage there with both of us missing that game, but my team will be prepared for it.
Fair enough. Farhan, same question, but why is Motherland defeating Timeless?
I think, all right, we're talking the hypothetical that, our teams are at full strength. I think, we'll have to game plan to obviously, focus on some of their star players. But I think we have, when we have everybody there, we have enough players that can really put pressure on ZJ and kind of force him to, make some of those really tough throws. And, hopefully we'll capitalize. I think, we've shown that, Alisha is kind of his, kryptonite when it comes to, either the playoffs or big games. So, let's see if we can. I think we have just a really solid team. All around. I don't think there's like a single guy that says we need to get it to this guy or we win the game if we get it to this guy. I think there's tons of guys that can make an impact. So that's the way we're kind of going at it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a tight game, and it's that the team which gets that key turnover that's probably gonna go on top, and I wouldn't be surprised if field goals play a part in this game, and a team wins by 3.
It very well could be. And speaking of field goals, big shout out to Ahsan Mumtaz for being the only guy kicker to score a field goal this entire season. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be definitely a very interesting game whenever it comes down to it. Real quick, before we get into the predictions into week 3, what I want to hear from you guys is what you think the current power rankings in the NJSSL are, for me, I would have way at the bottom without any doubt until they get it back together. My Fin Journey's really got to figure it out. So they're the number 6 team. I have above them the number 5 team being Ash Research Clinic, because again, I just think that they need to kind of figure out their game plan, revamp their team, and figure out a way to get some points. And I think I got Advanced Dental at 4, just because they have had a team that they're 1-1. I think that they're capable of doing better, but perhaps some injuries are going to slow them down a bit, and they need to kind of rework their game plan. I got SNS Motorsports, who is 1-1 with the without having Hussein Abdi at all. So now that when he comes back, I think it's going to be a huge upgrade for that team. Then I have at number 2, I personally have Timeless Creations at number 2, just because I think that they are also going to run into personnel issues. I know Uncle doesn't agree with that, but we'll see what happens. And at number 1, we got Motherland, baby, because Motherland it's a funny thing, because when I did my predictions when the season started, I thought to myself, based off of last year, that the strongest offensive lines will win the game. And I wasn't as impressed. Granted, some of the guys on Motherland were new to me, but then I forgot one thing, that Farhan did not play last season. And I forgot that Farhan doesn't need an offensive line, because he'll go out and make the plays work whether he has an offensive line or not. So now he has a solid offensive line. Even when they break down, he'll still find a way to make the plays work. So I'm giving the number 1 seed to Motherland. Shoja, how would you rate the 6 teams right now?
That's fine with me. Put the pressure on them. That's okay. That's fine. The pressure's on them to hold their number 1 seed in your rankings, and we're fine with being the underdog.
Fair enough. Farhan, what are your thoughts on that, or on the way I ranked it?
Yeah, no, it's good rankings. I think we're happy to be first. Obviously, I need to keep playing well for us to keep succeeding. But I think Timeless is definitely not a team to sleep on. I think they're right there. So we're definitely not saying we're the best team by far. I think every team's confident in their own ways. I think once we see some of these other teams at full strength, we'll really know. These next couple weeks are going to be big, so I'm excited to let's see. Maybe my Fin Journey, all of a sudden when they have Yafa back, Fardeen looks like really good again, and we're saying these guys are a solid team. So I have no clue honestly how it's gonna go. It's
anything can happen in the NJSL, as you guys know. All right, real quick, we'll touch on week 3 games. We've got Motherland and Advanced Dental. Farhan, I have a feeling I know what your prediction is. What do you got for this game?
Motherland, of course, I gotta go with Motherland because they have, a lot of speed. Although I think Advanced Dental depends on, if they have their full roster, they could hang with them for a little while. But I see Motherland eventually pulling this one out.
There's a rumor going around that Motherland is so confident in this game that Ali Shah is not even planning to come from Seattle this week. Is that true, Farhan?
Half and half. Obviously, he's a little busy, so it's not that we're very really confident he just couldn't make it this weekend. But yeah, we will not have Ali Shah this weekend. Breaking news. So it's we're gonna have to figure out how to win without him. This is why I was saying some of the other guys are gonna have to get involved this week, because Shah got a ton of targets last week, and obviously that target share is gonna have to go somewhere. So other guys are gonna have to step up. They're gonna have to produce, and I think it's gonna be a good chance for them to get some get their feet wet on the field. So it should be good.
100%. Looking forward to seeing big things out of the Rob. Let's see. What's the second game we got here? We've got Ash Research Clinic and SNS Motorsports. That's going to be an interesting game, I think. I would have to go with. I'm not sure if Hassan's coming back. Do you guys know if Hassan's coming back this week?
I think he's still abroad, so I'm not 100% sure. I think it's going to be up in the air. You never know who Hussein. He might just show up the day of. So
fair enough. I think this if there's going to be a game that Ash Research Clinic has a good chance of winning, I think this is going to be the one, especially if Hassan's not there. But I'm still not impressed with them yet. I think they still need to figure it out. I'm going to give the win to SNS Motorsports. Sorry, Shoja, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be the tightest game of this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I think SNS is going to pull it out at the end.
Yeah, yeah. Farhan, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with Ash. If they have their even without Ali Bungish, I think they were still a solid team. I think
Mhm.
if Ducky shows up, Ducky showed up. I think off like 1 hour of sleep. He worked like an all night shift at the hospital, so he showed up and he was honestly productive for them when he was on the field. So let's see. I think they might surprise some people this week. So let's see. If Hussein's there, it's going to be tough, but I think if Hussein's not there, I think Ash definitely pull it out.
All right, Ash. This is your week. This is you can't let anything happen. You just got to go in full force and show them why you guys are a strong team. Final matchup, we got Timeless Creations and My Finn. Farhan, what do you got for this one? Do you think My Finn's going to be able to figure it out in time to beat Timeless Creations?
I think this is a kind of a crossroads game for MyFin. If they win this game, they're back on top of the world. They feel like they can beat any team, they can hang with anybody. So this is a big game for them. I think we'll see some offense from them. They're gonna have to. I don't know. I think they're getting some practices in, so hopefully they get some plays ready to go. They'll be super organized this week, and I think they might surprise some people. Obviously, Timeless is kind of definitely the favorite in this game.
Mm-hmm.
ZJ's. I'm not 100% sure if Shahruk's coming or not. Is he coming?
Yep. Shark's going to play QB
Ooh, so this is going to be
Interesting.
interesting. Wow,
because ZJ is out.
I have no clue.
Oh, okay, interesting. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting with Times Creations about ZJ. I still think that they're going to be very well off against this My Fin Journey team that haven't quite figured it out yet. But actually, I think we do have to make one big point here: is that technically My Fin Journey they could have kicked a field goal at the end of the last game, and they could at least have tied the game
Yeah,
with SNS Motorsports potentially. Because they had great field positioning for a field goal, but they decided to go for the win, and they couldn't do it. They ended up throwing an interception right at the end. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Lot of props for them to, try and go for the win there. And if you look at the last play, um, Professor was open on the goal line,
mhm.
and Fordine, I think, just missed him and was just looking for Wally in the back of the end zone rather than if he saw Professor, they could have easily, pulled that one out. But so it was unfortunate, but I do give them props for going for it.
100%, 100%. So let's see. Maybe the opportunity will arise for them to, at least build some momentum with a close game, if not a tie or a win. So we'll see what My Fin Journey has to do. And like I said, they just got. I think they got to rally that offensive, that passing game around Professor rather than any of the other guys on that team. He seems like the one who's going to find a way to get that ball down. All right, friends. Any final thoughts going into week 3?
we're hoping for good weather. It's kind of been, we've gotten lucky the last couple weeks. But let's see what this weekend. I think the forecast should hopefully be good, but you never know. So I'm excited. It has been definitely good to see everybody back on the field. So we're missing you, Reg. We need you, back on the field, ready to go.
Yeah.
Inshallah, inshallah, we'll be back inshallah for next year. This year was kind of tough, just with a lot of family stuff going on. But inshallah, next year we'll definitely be back, ready to go. But good.
Well, appreciate you having us on the show, and it's always exciting and a pleasure to be on your show, The Cutting Edge.
Thank you, Shoja. Thank you to you and Farhan both. It's been a pleasure having you guys. Inshallah, we'll have you guys back on the show soon. And inshallah, we'll be right in time for award season. Actually, before we go, last thing. Right now, after 2 weeks, Farhan, excluding anybody from your team, who would you give MVP to this year?
So far, I mean, I guess it would have to be ZJ. He's been obviously their team's 2-0. He's had, I think he's leading the league in passing yards, so he's been
Mm,
really solid. He's always up there. So offensive, I would say ZJ. Defensive, um, it's tough. Mohsen Bungish I think, has 2 pick sixes, so he might also
he
be up
does.
there. I haven't seen some of the other guys' defensive stats. I think Mehdi's obviously, I think, has a pick or two. He's had some big stops in the first game, so he's also up there. So let's see.
Yeah, yeah, Shoja, what about you? What do you think?
I don't want to sound biased, but my honest opinion, defensively, Mosin's been a stud for us,
Hmm.
getting some key picks for us. I think he has one or two picks for touchdown too.
Hmm.
And we have, ZJ's been the best QB so far.
If you were to not vote for somebody from your team, who would it be?
Not from my team. I would say, Farhan as a QB, because just when you think you have him in the backfield, which, you can ask Tahi, he just gets away and then gains big yardage, which like kills the defense, because you could have had the guy for a 10-yard loss and he picks up 15 yards, just
100%.
that one little juke move.
Well said. Very well said. I think this is the year. I think after coming close year after year after year, I think this is the year, Farhan. I think this is the year you make it happen, my man. I'm putting all my eggs in your basket. So inshallah, it'll work out well for Motherland and Team Farhan Ahsan.
Yeah, no, I had to.
Yeah, and offensively, I think, Farhan, and then, his team has been good with Nabil putting a lot of pressure on defense. So, but Faizan, I was surprised. I told Farhan I think they took Faizan a little too high, but watching the past two games, he's really surprised me, and he's stepping up. He's getting some great sacks and putting some good pressure on, the opposing QBs.
I was gonna say, as of right now, it looks like the fight is between him and Mohsen Bangash for Defensive Player of the Year. He's playing the
Yeah,
defensive line, and Mohsen's got the secondary. So,
yeah.
so inshallah, we'll see what happens. All right, friends. Well, thank you guys both again. Inshallah, it was a great episode, and inshallah, we look forward to week 3 of NJSSL football. Until then,
All right. Thank
everybody have
you.
a great night, and inshallah, we'll talk to you guys again in the near future.
All right. Khuda Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.